Hick or Treat is a really brilliant episode of Arthur. There's so much about this episode that I really thoroughly enjoyed. It's the first segment of the 7th episode of the 11th season, and it's set around Halloween, which I love. Halloween in animation always excites me. And it starts off with Arthur giving this really brilliant commentary about how Halloween is meant to be a scary time, and you're meant to wear scary costumes, not dressing up as things that are not scary. Personally, I don't actually have a problem with, children wearing like Disney princess costumes and things for trick or treating, but I do love the scary side of Halloween. And the main narrative actually focuses on the fact that DW has hiccups, and the hiccups won't stop. And she comes up with various ways that Arthur can scare her, because she learns that scaring is possibly one way that hiccups can be stopped. And the brain actually gives this great definition about esophageal contraction, and that's why hiccups can stop when you're scared. I never thought about that. I don't know if that's scientifically accurate, but it makes sense. It just never occurred to me to wonder why scaring somebody might stop hiccups. And anyway, Arthur helps DW by trying various different things to try and scare her, to help her get rid of the hiccups. Now, for the most part, I enjoyed that part of the narrative. I thought it was very effective, but I will say I didn't love a certain part of it. I'll have to discuss it with a spoiler warning because it will spoil it. But I feel like there was one bad decision made, but ultimately, I enjoyed it. I was left with a satisfying feeling. Arthur's Frankentist costume, I loved. Frankenstein's creature and a dentist combination. I mean, that is actually brilliant. I won't say what the other characters dressed up as, but I thought they all looked rather great. And actually, there is also something else that, this is a tiny spoiler, but it doesn't spoil the development of the narrative. But Mary Moo Cow appeared in this in a certain place. I won't explain exactly where. But the show had been cancelled, so how was she available to make new appearances? I feel like that's a tremendous oversight, unless it was a repeat, but it's unlikely to have been a repeat. I can't really explain it without going into any spoiler detail, but hopefully you know what I mean. But ultimately, I really thoroughly enjoyed it. Hick or Treat was a really great episode. So the spoilers from now. I guess what I'll explain what I meant about Mary Moo Cow as well. Because it is a spoiler, I guess. Mary Moo Cow appears in an episode of Dark Bunny. And the reason I said it couldn't have been a repeat is because Arthur surely would have seen it. He would have seen it before, and he would have known that that episode was a repeat. So he wouldn't have been so surprised by it. And the show Mary Moo Cow had been cancelled, so she wouldn't have been making new appearances. At least it's very, very unlikely. So that was an oversight. But the main thing I didn't like was the fact that DW's hiccups temporarily stopped after visiting the Tibbles. And I thought, okay, if that worked, that's great. But then they came back, and I didn't love that. I loved how they ultimately stopped, but the kind of interim, I didn't like it very much. I didn't think it was a very good idea. That aside, it's a brilliant episode, and ultimately one that I really thoroughly enjoyed.